What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Whole Views. I'm so tired, but we have to talk about Copshop. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't so far. We're doing big things. Come along and help us to reach that magic number of 1,000. We're moving, help to keep us moving, and we appreciate every view that you give. Copshop was a movie that was starring Alexis Louder, Gerard Butler, and Frank Grillo. Directed by Joe Carnahan. It does feel kind of like a Joe Carnahan movie. And getting into those things and talking about the movie in specifics, I want to go through my overall, give you why I came out with the average score that I did. But really, I think the biggest problem with this film is not the film itself, but the marketing. This movie was marketed very badly to me. The trailers were not cut well. The trailers made it seem like we were getting something that we had already seen before. And while talking about the story elements that were present here, it did feel very similar to Assault on Precinct 13 as well as like Smoking Aces, but it was unique enough to be its own thing. And let's go ahead and just start breaking down the stuff so I can go into more details. And this is a spoiler review, by the way. So breaking things down, I have to give the story a 6 out of 10 because, again, like I mentioned, those other films, it did feel reminiscent of those, but it was kind of unique enough to stand up on its own and be its own thing. I feel like the weakest part of the story here was the ending. The ending did not land very well for me at all, as well as my producer. And we talked about some things, and the point that we come down to is that the ending did not feel earned or deserved. So, spoilers here, but the character Valerie was played by Alexis Louder, and at the end of the film, it gives off the vibe or the notion that she's gonna go after Gerard Butler's character because she's this warrior for justice and she always does what's right and she's always gonna get her guy no matter what. And that did not feel earned. All the righteousness that kind of existed inside the character also kind of went out the window once she slid over the keys to Frank Grillo's character, Teddy. So I can't get down with that ending. They tried to make it seem as if she was something that she had not portrayed to be very well on screen. So I don't know if that was a tacked on ending or if they changed some things. I don't know. It might have just ended with Gerard Butler just coming out of the police station and driving away, and that would have been, sufficient to me, showing that she survived. But I don't know. I didn't care for that last little beat because it implied something that we didn't see in the story as we moved through the story. Speaking of moving through, the pace. How did the story move along? How did the movie flow? I feel like the pace was okay to me. It did start off kind of with a bang, and we get, a mysterious character, and we got to learn the backstory. There's some intrigue set up there. But I do feel like after about 10 minutes, it kind of drug for about 20-25 minutes. It was very entertaining still because you had the loud, bombastic chief played by, I know his name is, I think, Chad Coleman, who played Tyrese on The Walking Dead. That's how me and my wife knew him. But I did enjoy his police chief. I did enjoy the stuff in between, but I did find myself kind of dozing in between there and the 50-minute mark. Now, the 50-minute mark, the movie really takes off, really about 45-50-minute marks. The movie really takes off and doesn't settle back down, but that is based on the introduction of a character played by one Toby Huss. So let's go ahead and talk about the visuals. So when I score visuals, I say, what we see from an actor on screen, I'm seeing it. That's part of the visuals, along with the setting, along with the CG, along with the fight choreography. All that stuff is a part of what we're seeing and taking in. And Toby Huss stole the movie. There were a lot of good performances in this movie to me. Frank Grillo to me felt kind of standard, like a standard sleazeball, slimy type character. He does that well. I did like Gerard Butler because he came across as a true professional, willing to do whatever to get the job done. And I also liked Alexis Louder's character, and I liked that fact that, her performance was strong enough as a new actress, because I think when in the marketing they said introducing Alexis Louder. So looking at her performance, it was good enough to stand up next to seasoned actors like Frank Grillo, Toby Huss, and Gerard Butler. But it was also good enough to kind of just have her be her own character and like we could follow her, and I kind of wanted more from her, especially along the lines of that ending with the whole justice warrior type stuff. She did a great job. Toby Huss did a great job. Gerard Butler, I feel, did a sufficient job, and that's kind of how I would rate things. 9 out of 10 on the visual. The setting of the movie was quite interesting to me too. Middle of nowhere, Nevada, which allowed those big gaps between police showing up and ambulances showing up. It's like, yeah, they kind of in the desert. It's probably like a real small town. They get a little bit of disturbance, but nothing huge. And because of that, they can have this plot that makes sense. So I did enjoy the setup and the scenery. The police station was kind of like scaled up because it looks way nicer than what any police station I've ever seen. But those things aside, still good visuals here, good character performances that we saw on the screen. Very intriguing, very strong out the gate from Alexis Louder. Entertainment wise, I give it an 8 out of 10. It was a good, basically a mob movie, man. Somebody's on the run and there's multiple assassins trying to take him down. It's always a good setup for a nice, intense, action-filled movie. Now, could have had a little more action, yes, but the story was still good enough to keep you on track, yes. And the biggest deal here was the intensity. You had a lot of comical moments that were really comical, really funny stuff from Chad Coleman, from Toby Huss. Things that me and my producer found to be very relatable. With the Chad Coleman police chief. If you can deal with the vulgarity, if you can deal with the violence and the murder and stuff that goes on throughout the film, I would definitely recommend it. If you like a rated R action comedy, this is a good one in that category. And speaking of recommendations, let's just go ahead into rewatchability. I give rewatchability a 5 out of 10, and the reason why is because I would recommend it. I've already seen it though 1.5 times because I kind of dozed and I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. So I watched it and then I rewatched parts of it, and I'm like, I probably wouldn't watch this whole thing again, but I would recommend it to anybody who wants to see a good, intense adult action comedy. Absolutely, it's pretty good if you can put up with the cursing and the violence. Again, if your sensibilities don't lend to watching that, well, hey, try to find something else. But if you can get down with the cursing, you can get down with the action, this is a good one to put on once the kids go to bed. It's a good film. I would also like to take this opportunity to point out to people, scales are important. Dune was an 8.8, but Dune is still way up here compared to Copshop, which was a 7, which was, you're just looking at the numbers and you think they're close. They're actually not close. Again, good performances, not to take anything away from anyone here, but Copshop is not in the same category or the same class of film as Dune. So just taking that, to kind of explain my line of thinking. You can have numbers that are similar, but still worlds and worlds apart when it comes to these movies, man. Anyway, what did you think about Copshop? Did you enjoy it? Did you get a kick out of it? Would you recommend it for somebody? Those are the questions I'd like you to answer in the comments below. That's all I have for this video. Enjoy yourself, guard your heart, and please come back and check out more videos.